Hello. Right, so just before we go any further, I did have an on-air sign I was going to stick on the wall here, but it kept on falling down, so we'll just pretend that that's there for the rest of the video. Maybe I've edited one in, who knows. Right, so it's been a while since I last made a video, however, it's not as long as last year. Last year it took until the 30th of December to start making a video, and this year it's the 29th. It's actually 10 to 12 on the 29th, so it's even, 26 hours earlier than last year? So that's good. I'm improving. Slowly. If you're new here, over the last 6 years, I've actually challenged myself to make at least one YouTube video every single year, and I have done it, even though one of them was just me listening to jazz for 3 minutes. But, these must. Last year, I decided to make a video on my top 10 songs of 2021. You guys seem to enjoy it, and I did forget to film my holiday to Italy this year, so here we are again. Just to catch everyone up, I'm still in London. The move last year went quite well, as you can see. I changed jobs this year as well, and it actually got some shiny new glasses as well. So that's cool. You'll be seeing these again. And finally, yes, I eventually did lose that weight I mentioned last year, and some more. So same t-shirt, very baggy. Right, so now that's out of the way, let's get into the video proper. It's the first some ground rules. Number one, it's my list, so if you don't like it, okay. Secondly, the songs don't necessarily have to have come out this year. I just have to have listened to them or heard them for the first time this year. So some of the songs are quite new releases. Some of them are very old as well. But we'll get into that later. And thirdly, I'm not actually a music critic. I'm not Anthony Fantano. I'm not Todd in the Shadows. I'm not the Rolling Stone. This is just a bit of fun. So yeah. We all agreed? Nice. And finally, before we do actually begin, I'm going to make my first ever amendment to the list. Last year I put Driver's License by Olivia Rodrigo as my number 3 spot. I did this because I couldn't really choose between a few of her songs. This is wrong though. Brutal is a far better song, and Past Harry is an idiot. Anyway, now that's over, let's get on with the show. Video? No, show. No. It's a show. Let's get on with the show. So, number 10 is actually the return of the TikTok song. It's been a while since I had one of these songs on my list that I discovered on TikTok, but 2022 shows the return of this, return to form, essentially. It's a little bit left of field than the usual genre, though. Experience is a 5-minute and 15-second instrumental piece by, this is going to be difficult, Ludovico Einaudi. Apologies if you're watching, Mr. Einaudi. I'm sure you are. Like many of the songs that are part of trends on TikTok, only a short snippet of the song went viral, but you need to go and listen to it in its entirety, preferably with really nice headphones on as well. Einaudi is able to build multiple layers of instruments together to swell and wane like the song is a living creature. God, that sounded wanky, but it's true. The strings are by far the stars of the piece, building to an incredible climax full of emotion. It really makes you think, with an understated piano in the quieter parts to ponder in those moments. If there is a song I want you to go and listen to and just feel, it's this one, and it's an incredible song to kick off the list. Experience by Ludovico Einaudi gets the number 10 spot. It's still really hard to say his name. I had the incredible pleasure of going to see Florence and the Machine perform at the O2 back in November, and if I was really pushed to pick a favourite artist, they probably would be it. 2022 saw the release of Florence's 5th studio album, Dance Fever, and in it, my 9th favourite song of the year, Free. This synthy dance track is the musical embodiment of release. Florence has said herself that Dance Fever is an album about dancing yourself to death, and this song definitely lives up to that motto. With an upbeat tempo throughout, and the chorus proclaims that she is free, with the bouncy vibes going through the song to echo that sentiment. With the rest of the song discussing the ups and downs of life, this is a great embodiment of how letting yourself go every now and again, and being free is a fantastic feeling. Florence and the Machine claims the number 9 spot. Last year I featured Sucker by Ellie Dixon on my top 10, and Space Out by her the year before that, and if I had a nickel for every time I put a song starting with the letter S by Ellie Dixon on my top 10 list, I'd have 3 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened 3 times, right? Swing! Takes Swing! Takes this year's number 8 spot. Despite now being a signed artist to Decca Records, Ellie retains the bedroom pop feeling that she's had in her last few releases as she continues to produce her songs at home. That being said, Swing! Is probably Ellie's most polished song to date. It's obvious that she's honing her craft with each new release and having an absolute blast with it. If you haven't already clocked by the title of the track, Swing is a pun-filled upbeat song themed heavily around baseball. The track also deals with the complexities of rising online fame, including receiving abuse. 2021 and 2022 were huge years for Ellie, both online and in the live music scene, growing to 1.2 million followers followers on TikTok and having a UK headline tour by the end of the year. It's amazing that she's had time to even record new music, let alone a banger like Swing. I'm truly looking forward to seeing what's next for Ellie and seeing if she can make it 4 in 4 with songs starting with the letter S to make this incredibly prestigious list. In at number 7 is the annual Song My Dad Knows song, and is the first time I have 2 songs with the same word in the title. Dire Straits are a band I've heard of for many years. I've even listened to a few of their back catalogue as a kid on rock compilation CDs in my dad's car to and from rugby training, but somehow the Sultans of Swing has completely evaded me until this year. When visiting a friend in Deptford, he was actually the one that told me about the multiple pubs in the area that claimed to be the Barr where the titular band of the song were playing, and I did what anyone would do and sort out the song and was immediately taken by the guitar that dominates the track throughout. The song tells a simple story of a jazz band playing in a near empty pub in Deptford, which actually was inspired by true events, but the star of the track is the 2 solos in the middle and the end of the song. Played by Mark Knopfler and his 1961 Stratocaster, the 2 solos lasting around a minute each are given the full bass to develop and have centre stage. The tone is like no other rhythm guitar I've heard before or since. The lyrics are simple because they don't need to be that complex. The music is what gives the track life. I'm starting to think my dad actually has a good taste in music, but please don't tell him I said that. Sultans of Swing by Dire Straits takes the number 7 spot. Back in May, I was able to go to an intimate gig hosted by a little artist called Ellie Dixon that you may have heard of from about 2 spots ago. At this gig, she had a co-performer called Beth McCarthy. Donned entirely in pink with matching hair, it's hard not to immediately fall in love with Beth's aesthetic. This next spot, number 6, goes to You Ruined Love by Beth McCarthy, the final track from her 2022 EP, No Hard Feelings. With a traditional guitar, drums and vocal trio, Beth manages to turn it into something new, marrying both the rock and pop genres together in a personal message to an ex. Beth's thick York accent and contagiously happy personality disappear in this track entirely, as a heartfelt account takes centre stage with the clear intention of healing in the lyrics. If you've had a breakup in the last year or so and need help processing it, I highly recommend listening to Beth's music. And if you really want to pick me up, I also recommend checking out her Instagram for updates on her dog. From all the new artists I've discovered this year, Beth McCarthy tops the list, and I cannot wait to see what's next for her. 2022 saw the return of one of my all-time favourite bands growing up, Paramore. Paramore are a perfect example of constantly evolving. Their albums in the last 18 years have had a different yet familiar sound in each iteration, and Paramore's lead single for their upcoming album, This Is Why, is the next evolution of the band's development. This Is Why also marks our halfway point at number 5. The song builds on the funky pop feel from their last album in 2017, while also incorporating an almost spooky feel to Hayley Williams' performance in the pre-choral vocal runs. That sounded wanky again. With lyrics including This Is Why I Don't Leave the House, it's not impossible to suggest that the surge of creativity that many artists felt over the pandemic is still well and truly in effect. This Is Why is a return to form for the band, and I cannot wait for the album to expand on this entry. With Paramore currently selling out arenas worldwide, I'm delighted that one of my favourite bands is still able to create such refreshing and great new music after almost 20 years on the scene. The number 4 spot is always one of the hardest places for me to pick. It's clearly better than the majority of songs on the list, but it just misses out on the big boy spots in the top 3. This is the McLaren of the top 10 songs list. Phoebe Bridges is one of those artists whose songs I've very slowly been adding to my mega playlist over the last few years, but the first time I heard Motion Sickness, I needed to re-listen to it about 6 times immediately after. Phoebe's vocals match perfectly with the beating pulse of the instrumentals in this story of a breakdown of a relationship, both hating and missing the subject of the song, hence the emotional motion sickness. This theme of motion sickness is echoed throughout the song as the track is self-aware, with melancholic lyrics but an upbeat feel and sing-along chorus adding to the meaning of the song. If you do go and listen to this song, do yourself a favour and listen to it in the bath with a glass of wine and some chocolate. Alright, number 3, into the big leagues. I'm pretty sure I'm breaking my own rules with this pick again this year, but I did it last year and no one died, so I think we're okay. Of course I'd heard Everybody Wants to Rule the World before, everyone has, but I don't think I actually appreciated it for the master it is until 2022. Tears for Fears absolutely smashed it out the park with this 1985 track, while sounding both timeless and unbelievably 80s at the same time. Everybody Wants to Rule the World has the guitar once again as the star of the show, kicking off with the iconic riff. The song is about everybody wanting power, which leads to warfare and the misery it causes. Cheery stuff, I know. The maddest thing about the song is that the band were completely indifferent to it when creating the album and almost didn't actually record it. Hell, the original final line of the chorus was changed last minute from Everybody Wants to Go to War to the now iconic titular line. I think the indifference the band had to making this song works in its favour. The instrumentals and lyrics are simple, which keeps them easy to remember and sing along to, which has contributed to the song's longevity in the public consciousness. I'm pretty sure that Tears for Fears are ecstatic to be so high on this year's list. Our next entry, just missing out on the top spot, is actually my most played song on Spotify this year, so it's hardly a tragedy it's missed out on this spot. Brazil by Declan McKenna was the song of the summer, even though it was actually released 7 years ago and recorded when he was only 16. TikTok is once again to credit for the song entering my playlist back in May, and it's been on a hard rotation all year ever since. Written in protest of FIFA hosting the World Cup in Brazil, the track, as initially seems to be nonsense, makes a lot of sense when taking that context into account. The vocal talent of McKenna really shines on this song, both in the recording and when performed live. Declan has had an extraordinary year on the festival circuit this year, even being bumped up to the main stage of Victoria's Festival, where I went to go see him perform. Declan McKenna actually appeared in last year's video with his song British Bombs getting an honourable mention, so you can say that I have a good eye for future talent. who knows what'll happen to this year's list. Once again, this year's list was incredibly hard to narrow down. All of these songs were amazing in their own right, I just couldn't quite find a place for them on here. In no particular order, this year's honourable mentions are Bloom by the Paper Kites, Come Over Again by Crawlers, The Air That I Breathe by the Hollies, Wichita Lineman by Glenn Campbell, Friday I'm in Love by The Cure, Running Up That Hill by Kate Bush, No Role Models by J. Cole, Glimpse of Us by Joji, Wet Dream by Wet Leg, Chaotic by Bellop, 23 by Wallace, Chitty Bang by Leigh Kelly 47, Murder in the City by the Avett Brothers, and Don't Delete the Kisses by Wolf Alice. Now that I mention it, most of those songs are either decades old or by pre-established artists, but who knows? Alrighty then, number 1, numero uno, The Bee's Knees, The Dog's Bollocks. Was it going to be anyone else? Number 1 is King by Florence and the Machine. My favourite song on the latest album from my favourite band, of course it was going to be this. King was the lead single for Dance Fever, and holy shit was it the perfect one for it. It's a pop rock ballad where Florence's vocals really get to show off. The song begins with a strong bass line and a very restrained performance from Welch, but she and the song build over the next 3 minutes to a beautiful crescendo with the crash of the drums and then the most incredible vocal run by Florence. The song tackles gender norms and societal expectations with lyrics from the chorus, I am no mother, I am no bride, I am king, almost being spoken instead of sung, hitting home with the message of the track. It is the perfect song to kick off the album, and I implore you to go and listen to it in its entirety. After liking and subscribing, that is. Oh god, that was horrible. So that concludes this year's list. If you hate it and think that there's anything that I missed, okay, but please do feel free to share your thoughts down below. As with last year, I'd also like to tell you about my favourite albums of the year. Please note that these are in no particular order though, because it did take me hours to script this video, and fuck doing that again for these albums. There's also no set number for these, so last year I think it was 5, but this year I've got 3 particular standouts. These are just some albums that I really liked and really think you should check out too. First off, we have 17 Going Under Deluxe, the album from Sam Fender. By getting massive radio play last year, of course I was aware of the titular track, but this is the year I actually sat down and listened to the album. I have to say it's a full display of intensity and passion with some great songs on, and you should really go and listen to it. Next up, we actually have Lil Sim's latest album, No Thank You. I will admit that I only discovered this album over Christmas, so I haven't really had time to home in on my favourite song of it, but the fact it's left such a big impression on me to make it into this list now really speaks volumes for how good the album is. Go and listen to it. I definitely will again, and then also pick my favourite song from it. And finally, I know I've already said it's my album of the year, but you need to go and listen to Dance Fever. It's a masterpiece with more bangers on it than the ones I've mentioned today. Right, that concludes the video. All I can say is thank you for watching, and I'll see you in 2023. Now, fuck off.